Straight ahead on WBKB News at 11, despite the rainy weather this morning, the Alpena community came together to raise awareness for breast cancer. Plus, families celebrated the fall season at the Cummins Pumpkin Festival, and bowlers gathered their teams and headed to the Thunderbolt lanes to bowl for a cause. We'll have those stories plus your local weather and sports. WBKB News at 11 starts now.
From Rogers City to Tawas City and all points in between, this is Northeast Michigan's award-winning news team. Your source for news, weather, and sports. We are WBKB News at 11.
Crowds gathered at the Fletcher Street Brewing Company today for the 7th annual Breast Cancer Awareness Walk and 5K Run. Good evening, I'm Ashley Reed. The Zonta Club of Alpena sponsors this event to create awareness about the importance of early detection of breast cancer. All funds raised will be donated to provide mammograms at the Alpena Regional Medical Center to those who can't afford the life-saving diagnostic. The run began at 9:30 this morning and walkers took off a half hour later. Spirits didn't seem to be dampened despite the rainy weather.
We are so grateful to our community for the support of this event. It's really heartwarming to see people come together for such a common cause, and to see this done in our community, and that all the money raised here stays here to help women that we know and love.
Awards were presented after the race, including prizes for the teams, businesses, and individuals who raised the most money in donations. Last year, the Zonta Club raised more than $33,000. The club does not yet know how much money was raised this year, as pledges and donations continue to come in. According to the number of shirts given away, the number of participants exceeded 750. More than 600 people walked through the doors of Besser Museum today for the Fall Harvest Fossil Fest from 12 to 4. The event has been going on for several decades but has gotten bigger throughout the years. Thanks to sponsorship from Lafarge and Specification Stone Quarries, it is a free family fun day. Executive Director of the museum, Chris Witolski, says it's all about educating people on their culture and heritage.
The goal out of the event is to get people into the museum to see what all is here. We are art, history, science, and this is the one time that we open up all of the historic buildings. We open up the avenue of shops. We get all the demonstrators in, and they're educating about some of the skills and the arts that were from way past.
And not only do guests get to learn about the past, but see what is going on in the Alpena community today. There were bus tours to Lafarge and Specification Stones, local quarries that many people never get a chance to see. Back at the museum, there were all kinds of activities inside and out. Paleo Joe was in the fossil park, rope makers were in the basement, and there were interpretations in all of the historic buildings. 8th grade volunteer Robert Lutman was one of many volunteers who really knew what he was talking about.
This would be the actual size of the Cooper shop, and that's pretty small for a shop. And in 1882, they shipped 966 tons of fish over to other places.
Organizers said this may have been the most people the museum has ever seen in one day. The feeling of fall was in the air today at the Cummins Pumpkin Festival, which took place at the Skyline Event Center near Cummins. After a friend told Township Supervisor Kenneth Troyer that he had to go all the way to Indian River to take a picture of a pumpkin patch, Troyer decided something needed to be done about that. And so this year, the Cummins Pumpkin Festival began.
The goal is to have family fun. That's the whole thing. Like to break even if we can.
The pumpkin patch was filled with families choosing which pumpkins they were going to take home. It was $2 a pumpkin, 3 pumpkins for $5. In the first hour, they sold about 400 pumpkins. In addition to picking pumpkins, there was a tree sale, crafts, concessions, hay rides, and more. This was the first year for the festival, but Troyer says it will not be the last. Home Depot in Alpena hosted a fire safety day today from 9 to 2. It is a company-wide effort to educate children about fire safety and introduce them to different people. The fire department, police department, and ambulance drivers were all in attendance today with educational tables set up.
Although some people may have some preconceived notions of how police officers might act, or firemen or sheriff deputies, this gives us an opportunity to show not only the kids for the Fire Safety Day here, but their parents that we're willing to go out there and do some community outreach, and it's important.
Children and their parents could participate in a craft workshop, check out emergency response vehicles in the parking lot, try on all kinds of gear, and enjoy free hot dogs and beverages.
You know, you always see it on the news, you know, fires, and it's always a little tight. It seems like they do the ones that's called the 911 or something. So it's pretty cool just to know that if we help one kid learn how to do that and it saved one life, then we've done what we should have done. So.
Fire Safety Day is an annual event that falls during the first week of October every year. Bowlers gathered at Thunderbolt Lanes in Alpena to take part in the first annual Burrell's Bowling Bash. The fundraiser for Hospice of Michigan is held in memory of Burrell Pretty. Burrell was an avid bowler who was on Hospice of Michigan services last year. Organizers were thrilled with the turnout today. Teams of 5 collected donations, then came together to bowl, participate in raffles, and have some fun.
It's really important to have the community support, and these fundraisers, the dollars generated really goes towards helping other members in our community who are less fortunate, who don't have insurance coverages or just might not be able to afford hospice services, which is really everyone deserves quality comfort at the end of life.
Hospice of Michigan is the largest nonprofit hospice organization in all of Michigan. All of the money raised today will go toward their open access program. The organization does not deny any person that needs hospice service in all of northeastern Michigan. Organizers set a goal while planning the bowling bash to raise $1,000. As of today, they were well over $2,000. Coming up next on WBKB News at 11, a group of Senate Democrats, one being from Michigan, spoke about the impact on health care during the government shutdown. Plus, investors in Washington have more than just the shutdown to worry about. A bigger concern may be the debt ceiling debate. All that and more after the break. Welcome back. In state news, yesterday a group of Senate Democrats spoke about the impact on health care during the government shutdown. The lawmakers were joined by patients and doctors to discuss the effects on agencies like the National Institute of Health and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Michigan Senator Deb Stabenow said, quote unquote, "The greatest country in the world, the American people deserve better than a piecemeal approach as to which health risk will be protected for themselves and their families. It's very simple. The Speaker can bring up a bill today. It has bipartisan support. We can stop the Tea Party shutdown, open up services, and let the American people know that their health will be protected going forward from today." And now it's time for some of today's top financial stories with your Money Watch. 2 big defense contractors are furloughing workers because of the government shutdown. Lockheed Martin will temporarily stop employing 3,000 employees beginning this week, while United Technologies will furlough 2,000 workers. Both companies say they will have to furlough more workers each week if the shutdown continues. Wall Street remains focused on Washington and not just the shutdown. The bigger concern for investors is the debt ceiling debate. If Congress fails to raise the country's debt limit by October 17th, the U.S. will not be able to pay its bills. That could freeze the credit markets, send interest rates up, and push the economy back into a recession. Many economists believe all the political uncertainty makes it very unlikely the Federal Reserve will taper its economic stimulus program at this month's policy meeting. Investors will turn their attention to earnings now that the government won't be releasing economic reports because of the shutdown. On the calendar this week, Alcoa and Yum Brands, which owns KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. And GasBuddy.com and AAA of Michigan put together state and local gas prices. The highest price for gas in Alpena is coming in at $3.34 at Standard Express. The lowest is $3.25 at Murphy, USA. Across the state, the highest gas price is $4 in Copper Harbor. The lowest price for gas in Michigan is at $3.04 in Lambertville. There is still much more to come on WBKB News at 11. Shannon McGrattan will be in with a look at sports, and I'll be right back with your weather forecast. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us. It's time now for a look at the weather. Currently, right now in Alpena, it is 57 degrees with showers. It really feels like 49 degrees. The humidity level is at 100%. Moving into our satellite radar, it looks like that's not all for the rain. Here we can see there's more coming into our viewing area from the west. Looks like that will continue over the next 48 hours. As for tonight, we are going to see some heavy rain, a low of 56 degrees with southeast winds at 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we will have occasional showers, possible thunderstorms, a high of 68 degrees, southeast winds at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night showers are likely, possible thunderstorms, a low of 53 degrees with west wind at 5 miles per hour. And now taking a look at our week ahead in our extended weather forecast. Monday we have a chance of showers with a high of 57 degrees. Looks like that rain will end Tuesday. It should be sunny with a high of 57 degrees. Partly cloudy Wednesday. We're going to reach a high back up to 65 degrees on Friday. And now it's time for today's photo of the day. Today's photo was sent in by Karen Swafford of Hubbard Lake. She took this picture of 3 deer in her orchard earlier this week. Karen says the deer spotted her and then took off right after she snapped this picture. Thank you, Karen, for sending us this photo. If you have a photo you would like to send us, email a photo along with a short description to news@wbkb11.com. And now it's time for some of today's top medical stories with your Health Watch. Doctors at Vanderbilt University say 74% of ICU patients develop delirium during their stay, making them more likely to develop a dementia-like disease after discharge. The study included patients who had no history of memory problems when they went into the hospital. Researchers say ICU recovery should include rehabilitation that exercises the brain, and patients should be taken off sedatives as soon as possible. Refusing vaccines may be partially to blame for the 2010 outbreak of whooping cough in California. There were some 9,000 cases, and a study in the journal Pediatrics found the infection was most common in communities where a lot of parents refused whooping cough vaccines for their children. And walking an hour a day may help lower the risk of breast cancer. A large new study from the American Cancer Society found moderate recreational activity was associated with a 14% lower risk in postmenopausal women. High physical activity was associated with a 25% lower risk. In national news, there were 2 military operations in Africa in the war against terror. One resulted in the capture of a senior al-Qaeda leader. The other targeted an al-Shabaab leader. CBS's Jerrica Duncan has details.
Anas al-Libi has been on the FBI's most wanted list for years, with a $5 million bounty on his head. The senior al-Qaeda leader was indicted for the 1998 embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. Hundreds of people were killed. U.S. forces finally caught up with al-Libi on the streets of Tripoli, capturing the Libyan national in broad daylight. And in Somalia, U.S. Navy SEALs went after a senior al-Shabaab leader in a pre-dawn raid. The Pentagon would only say there were some al-Shabaab casualties and no Americans were injured or killed. The Shabaab group claimed responsibility for the attack on a Nairobi shopping mall 2 weeks ago. More than 60 people were killed in the 4-day terrorist assault. Jerrica Duncan, CBS News.
Sports is coming up next, but first Shannon McGrattan is here with a preview of what's ahead. Shannon?
The Alpena Street Cats playing in their second game of the weekend. I'll show you how they did coming up. Plus, the Whittemore Prescott Cardinals hosting an all-day tournament today. Stay right here on WBKB for all those highlights, scores, and more as your news continues. When it rains, it pours and opens doors. And today, Whittemore Prescott welcoming 6 other teams to its all-day volleyball invitational. Mayo and Tawas volleying it out early in the day. 3-point game at the start of set 1. Bolt Whitney Kahn unable to get the block, allowing Leslie Osman to find the open space. 10-6 Mayo. Tawas with 2 straight points. Hannah Corley making it 3 with this kill, one of her 7 in the match. But the Bolts still able to get the win by 3. Corley doing work again in the second, shutting down Katie LaFleur this time. But for match point, it's LaFleur getting the best of the Braves. Thunderbolts winning set 2 25-18, striking down Tawas in both sets. The home team Cardinals playing the Owls in their second match of the day. Whittemore Prescott up 5 points in set 1. Megan Warner keeping this one right inside the line, extending the Cards' lead. Owls now down 2 towards the end, and Oscoda's top assister Carly Brown to Lauren Skidmore. Oscoda taking set 1 25-21. Same story in set 2. WP extending their lead, finding the open space as Emily Hickman, 17 all. Asia Frey easily blocking Brittany Hasty. Owls with 5 straight points at the end, winning this match 2-0. Onaway hosting a tournament of its own today. The Cardinals winning in 2 sets against the Tigers, but going on to lose in the championship game to Boyne City, ending their 7-year winning streak. In community college volleyball, Alpena heading to Garden City this weekend. The Lumberjacks won in 5 sets yesterday, but were unable to get a win today, falling in 7 sets to lose both matches. You can say it in English, French, Russian, even Czech, but the word hockey is pronounced the same way. And that universal language was shown last night as the Street Cats won their season opener 12-2. But going into tonight's junior hockey game, it was Bloomington communicating early. John Ermit crossing in front of the net, Sherman Lovett giving the Blaze a 1-goal lead. 2 minutes later, Andrei Kesolev finding Konstantin Kremov, tied game at 1. 6 minutes left in the first, Pavel Bakravov giving Alpena its first lead of the night. And as the first winds down, Kramov to Kisolev, switching roles this time, but still getting the goal. Street Cats up 3-1, and later in the game, Alpena scores once again, winning 4-1 tonight. Tomorrow's game is at 2 p.m. Moving to the NHL, the Red Wings coming off a big overtime win last night in Carolina and looking to improve their unbeaten record. But the Bruins have other plans. Torrey Krug putting this one in the net on the power play. Boston up 1. Henrik Zetterberg with a goal of his own as the first wraps up. 1-1 after 1. Second period, Brad Marchand coming right off the bench, putting Boston up for the second time this game. Jimmy Howard protecting his net 37 times tonight, but Detroit's 26 shots on goal being stopped by Boston. The Red Wings losing their first season game tonight 4-1. They'll play the Coyotes at home on Thursday. Down in Ann Arbor, the Wolverines looking to extend their home game winning streak after last week's bye. Michigan at its 10-yard line and losing some yards, but second time is a charm. Fitzgerald Toussaint taking the toss in for the first score of the game. And a little bit later, Iowa looking to make something happen. Mitch Leidner pass complete to Max Williams. 7-all after quarter 1. 2 minutes left in the half. The Devons finding their rainbow connection. Funchess running in for a Wolverines TD, making it 14-7 Michigan going into the half. The Wolverines maintaining their lead the rest of the game, continuing their home winning streak in today's 42-13 win. Michigan State is 0-6-1 in Iowa's homecoming game and trying to get that first win today, up 3 halfway through the second quarter. Connor Cook finding McGarrett Kings Jr. up the middle. Kings giving the Spartans their first play of 40 yards or longer this season. M State up 10. Iowa still looking for its first down of the game and getting it with 5 left in the half, leading to a Hawkeyes touchdown. Iowa up 14-10 going into the third. Michigan State regaining the lead in quarter 3. Cook connecting with Benny Fowler this time. Spartans continuing to stop on the Hawkeyes the rest of the game, winning their first Iowa homecoming game 26-14. And wrapping up sports tonight, the Tigers playing in Oakland for their second game. Unfortunately, we're unable to show you highlights because the game is still currently in progress. But last time I checked, we were tied at 0 in the 7th inning. So if they win tonight, they just need one more win and they'll get it at home, hopefully, and they'll advance to the next round. But going back to the Street Cats, they won 12-2 last night and 4-1 tonight, and they have half the players that the other team that they're playing has.
So very impressive.
Impressive, yeah. Bloomington, I was counting their players tonight. I think they have about 20, and the Street Cats have 11.
I know, I'm excited to make it to a game. I've heard they're doing awesome, and you've been talking a lot about them, so.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time getting to know the guys, and like I said, you can say hockey in any language, and it's pronounced the same way. So.
And what an interesting group of, like, a mesh they have on that team, because don't they have people from everywhere?
They have people from Russia, Canada, Belarus, even the United States. But what I found out tonight was weird, is you can only have a certain amount of players from out of the state playing on the ice. Oh. So since they have 11 players, and there's only one person from the USA currently in Alpena right now, they can only play part of their roster.
Got it.
So they're spending a lot of time on the ice, yeah.
All right, well, coming up next on WBKB News at 11, balloons from 50 different countries took off today in one location as part of an annual fiesta. Find out more when we return. Welcome back. The first day of the 42nd annual Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta got underway today with balloons from 50 different countries taking off from the 200-acre park, some just before sunrise. Worries about the wind mostly disappeared early this morning as the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta opened with its first mass ascension. Fiesta officials reported about 550 balloons launched beginning shortly after dawn, with all landing safely by about 10:30 a.m. Some pilots, however, chose to stay tethered as breezes made some landings tricky. The only reported incident involved a passenger flying with the Dawn Patrol. 8 balloons sent up in the darkness to test wind and weather conditions before a decision is made on the mass launch. The 61-year-old woman suffered a broken leg when her balloon made a hard landing at a nearby golf course. She was taken to a hospital for treatment and her name was not released. That's crazy.
Really scary.
Yeah, that's a lot of hot air balloons too, but I guess I don't usually associate hot air balloons with injuries.
Yeah, but if you think about it, you're going up in the, I don't know.
Super high.
Yeah.
And not knowing where you're landing.
I'm okay with planes. I don't know if I would be okay in the air with open space around me.
A plane, you have a lot more control too, so the wind conditions aren't going to affect you as much as a hot air balloon.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess if you love it, you love it.
I know. Try something new every day. Remember, you can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on more news items online.
Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night.
Or add us on Facebook at facebook.com/WBKBTV.
That will do it for tonight's show, but be sure to tune in again tomorrow night. I'll be back with your news. Shannon will be back with more sports updates. Have a great night.